garden friends. It's day 1, I guess, Monday of week 6 here in the garden, in the market garden. And this week the weather is going to be fairly changeable. It's cool, about 60 right now, but later in the week the heat is going to crank up a bit. So I'm trying to get some of the less desirable tasks done early so that I'm not out here in the heat doing things that I don't really want to be doing. As you can see, black fly season still is going on. I thought they were done, but yeah, they're not. So I'm still wearing the head net so I don't get all bit up. But yeah, so today I'm standing in front of the asparagus row, and this, like I said, is a task I've been dreading, but I need to do it. This row gets infiltrated with weeds from the aisleway, the runner grass, Johnson grass, I think is what it is. Somebody can correct me if they think I'm wrong, but I think it's Johnson grass. It's a pain in the butt. Also red sorrel, the weed, not the herb, and that has runners too that have infiltrated this bed. And I really need to get this bed cleared so I can put down some cow manure, composted cow manure, to feed the asparagus for next year, and hopefully get those crowns to be a little bit stronger. While I'm in here weeding, I'm also going to be looking for asparagus beetles that will be laying their eggs now for the little worms that will, little caterpillars that will then wreak havoc on the fronds once they fully come out. So I think it's probably going to be a full day here in this row just to get it done, but I need to get it done. So yeah, one of those tasks that nobody really likes to do, but you got to do it. Otherwise, the asparagus will get taken over by weeds, and you just won't get a good crop. We are going to be working on this aisleway anyway, so I need to clear this bed so that we can then mow the aisleway, this big aisleway. It's probably like 4 feet wide. Mow that right down to the ground, and then I'm going to tarp it for the summer, and hopefully kill all the weeds. And we're going to be working on the fence line as well later in the summer. Try to get this fence line clear and put down some sort of permanent solution so that we don't have to keep fighting the weeds coming in from the pasture. Probably a barrier of some sort and gravel on the outside, and then probably wood chips, a tarp, or some sort of row cover tarp underneath with wood chips on top to try to keep this aisleway clear so we don't have to keep fighting the weeds coming into these rows. So yeah, let me get to work, and yeah, we'll see you on the other side. So this right here is the red sorrel, also known as sheep sorrel, that, as you can see, has spread quite a bit into this bed. This stuff is nasty. It spreads by seed, and here's one of the flowers right now, getting ready to go to seed. But it also spreads by these underground runners. And I just pulled one up here, and you can see how far it goes, and it's very delicate. So it snaps, so you can't really pull them out of the ground like you can the larger weed roots. So the stuff you have to dig out by hand, that or spray with an herbicide, which I'd rather not do around a food crop. So it's just a very tedious process of digging out by hand. So here I've just pulled out one of the grasses. Again, I think this is Johnson grass. I could be wrong. But yeah, look at that root system. This will go in all different directions. Oh, and there's a little bit of red sorrel mixed in there for fun. But these roots will just burrow through pretty much anything, including plant crowns. And yeah, if you don't get every little bit of this out of the ground, you'll end up with more. So, good times, yeah. Well, it's now late afternoon, getting close to dinner time, and I've run out of steam. I'm almost done though. I've made really good progress, as you can see. Got most of, I'd say like 3/4 of the entire row done, and almost all of the asparagus done, but I just hit another patch of red sorrel that I have to sift through, and decided that that was it for today. So just have this section here. The asparagus goes to here, and then there's some other asparagus that I tried to transplant from another part of the property that didn't take, so that's all going to get dug up anyway. And then my horseradish patch, which also has to be weeded. So maybe tomorrow I'll come back in and finish this up, but I feel pretty good about what I've done so far. And yeah, I can get the cow manure on this week, and then my husband will come back and mow this grass right down, you know, as low as the mower will go, and we'll put a tarp on this aisleway here and keep it under a tarp all summer, and that will kill the grass along the fence line here. And yeah, and then we'll work on the other side, different part of the summer, and yeah, try to get this weed incubator under control. So for now, that's it for today. We'll come back at it tomorrow. Well, garden friends, it's Saturday, the end of week 6. And oh, another crazy week. Black flies are out again in force. It's like they took a vacation and now they're back with a second wind and they are biting. So annoying. Anyway, so yeah, last day of the This Week in the Garden week. Didn't do a lot of videoing throughout the week. Yeah, because, you know, again, another fire hose week of stuff coming at me. We've got some construction going on in the house, working on a number of different projects outside of this garden, and yeah, had a bunch of stuff that had to go on here, and it was hot, sticky hot, and I just don't function well in heat. So yeah, I would retreat for the afternoon hours. But yeah, but there's still some things going on, and we're about to get a little rain, I think, possibly, and some thunderstorms later, although I'm running the sprinklers right now, and I'll show you that in a second. But we did get some stuff done this week that is interesting, and stuff continues to grow. So let me take you on a quick walk around, and then I'll show you, I think, the last thing I'm going to do today before I call it a week. All right, we'll wander down to the fruit row. Been doing some weeding in anticipation of doing some wood chips. Obviously still have a bunch to do in the center here, but got the honeyberries weeded. They're perking up a little bit. I was a bit worried about them, but these newer leaves are greening up, so yeah, we'll keep an eye on them, and hopefully they will settle in and start growing. Oh, look at all these weeds. Yeah. This is one of the fruit rows. So these are the elderberries, and then the blackberries, and then the goji berries. There are a few random sunflowers that have popped up in this row that I'm just going to keep. I'm not going to weed them out. I'm hoping they are the mammoth sunflowers, which are huge. Yeah, but we'll leave them here and see what happens, and we'll just wood chip around them once we get this aisleway cleaned up. So the pears, no, this is the apples, sorry, this is the apples. Which variety is this? This is Liberty. This branch here is Liberty, and it's got quite a few apples. I'm pretty excited about this. Yay. Unfortunately, I don't see a whole lot elsewhere. Oh, here's some here. Which one? This is Honeycrisp. So I've got a few Honeycrisp apples. Might have one there, and that is, hang on here, let me flip the tag around. Where's the tag? That's Gala. Yeah, so we have some apples. I'm pretty excited about it. Oh, a couple here. And this is Yellow Delicious. So we'll see how we do. A few maybe Granny Smith. 0 on this branch, which is Fuji. A lot of vegetative growth, but not a lot of apples or flowers. All right, so let's go down to the pears. And again, we have a lot of pears. This is, I think, red Bartlett. Let me flip this around here. Yep, red Bartlett. And then Bartlett. So the 2 Bartletts have a bunch of pears on them. The other 2 have 0. So Flemish Beauty and Anjou. I'll have to keep an eye on that. Okay, so the plum, I started working some of these branches onto the fence, tying them on. Got a little bit of bug action going there. Look into that. So that one, I started to do this one here, and what I may end up doing is cutting it off here and just allowing this to be the one leader of the Shiro plum. And then over here on this side I did 2, hang on here, this is French prune, so I did 2 branches to the fence, and I think this 3rd one here will get cut off. So some progress there. And then with the Macintosh, I finally decided that one branch that was sticking out, this one right here, I bent it back and attached it to the fence. So far I think we're in pretty good shape with the fruit tree row. Just this plum has some work that needs to happen. Alright, back at the top of the garden here. So the potatoes are looking great. May have to hill them up, these red potatoes. May have to hill them up pretty soon. So they're doing well. The Yukon Gold to finally come alive. They're looking great. And then we got our sweet potato slips. So actually I have to water this next. They always look like they're completely dead before they become alive again. So they are in the ground. Oh, that one might be dead. Yeah, so I'm going to give these a water. And here. Some more. These, I believe, this back half is Beauregard sweet potato. And then the front half is Mahan. And I think the Beauregards are definitely looking a bit healthier right out of the box. I'm going to skip over a couple of rows here. Random lettuce. And we did plant cucumbers. I forced myself to only plant 6 cucumber plants this year. Typically I plant way more than I need. Not that I'll need 6 cucumber plants. These are Marketmore cucumbers, just a nice slicing cucumber. So yeah, those went in this week. The tomatoes are starting to perk up a little bit. We've got some fruit on a couple of these. And it's starting to rain. Okay, peas. I put these nylon strings down low, mainly for the snow peas, these right here, because they tend to flop before they can reach the fence. And so I'm trying to prevent that. So we'll see if that works. The sugar snap peas are already almost like a foot tall. They're looking great. Let's walk around here. Peppers are looking great. We did plant a row of filet beans. I'll put the name on the screen or a picture of the package, and they're starting to come up. They look great. Looks like all of them are starting to come up. The rest of this row after the beans will be for squashes, so we'll have plenty of room for a ton of squashes. These are the black turtle beans, which all look fantastic. Skipping over the row here. And then here's our first planting of the jade bush beans. So we'll do a second planting in another week or so to stagger the harvests. The pollinator row is trying to settle in. It usually takes a few weeks for them to kind of green up and get their roots going. All right, brassica rows, kind of a mess. We lost a bunch of cabbage way back there. Not sure why. I think combination of cutworms and not enough water. So I've replanted. We've got starts in the greenhouse, so we'll just replant. But the cauliflower and the broccolis aren't looking too bad. I'm going to be taking these row covers off actually pretty soon, and yeah, that allows us to weed, which is going to be the big issue going forward, is weeding. Same with the kale. The kale is looking pretty good. Here, I'll flip this over. Oop, there we go. It's looking great. And it's starting to push up against the row cover, so it's time for the row cover to come off. And I'll do that. I might get that done today, but probably not. I don't know. It's been a long week. The sprinklers are going. Mainly because the lettuce and the spinach need water, but also a new planting of carrots. Here's, I'm not going to get too close, but focus in. That's our first planting of carrots. Yaya is the variety. They're an early carrot. And then I had two other varieties of main crop carrots, navel and, oh, begins with an N. Yep. Yeah, I can't remember it. But anyway, main crop carrots. So I planted both of those. And so that's about almost half the row of carrots so far. I have one more variety. It's a storage variety, Bolero, that will go in after that. And so hopefully we will have a good carrot crop this year. The arugula continues to grow. I'll probably be harvesting some of that this week, along with some of the mixed greens, and the radishes are looking great. I come down here, so I get a little bit, oh, here. Look at the pak choys. I don't know if you can see that through the row cover. Those are almost ready to start eating. So the radishes, French breakfast radish, hang on here. Let me get the, I have to stop the camera to put the, to move the bag. All right, so yeah, French breakfast radishes, look at those, yay. So we can start harvesting these at any point. And then I've got the second planting of arugula and some more radishes down there. All right, we're gonna zip past the sprinklers so we don't get wet. This is the perennial holding row. See, some of these are flowering already. I am working on the pollinator garden in the back, and these will end up there eventually. That's going to be a long slog, so they'll just have to hang out here for a good part of the summer. The rhubarb is looking ridiculous, and I have to go cut those flowers off. So this is going to be the last little task that I have this week. I didn't quite finish this row, almost. My husband came in and mowed the grass down. So I want to get some cow manure on this row and then throw the plastic row cover down so that we can get to killing this grass. So let me get on that. Alright, I got some cow manure around the bases of the asparagus, and I pulled out this, I don't know, 6-foot wide tarp, 6 foot wide, 100 foot long, and as you can tell by my heavy breathing, I'm putting sandbags or rock bags on top. So I'm going to continue working, but it's starting to rain, so I'm going to shut the camera off in a second and continue chucking rock bags on top of this. Yeah, so I'm gonna call it for week 6 of This Week in the Garden. It's starting to rain. I gotta get the camera inside, and I'll tuck that away, and then I'm gonna continue to dump rock bags on this tarp just in case what's coming on the radar includes some wind. Definitely don't want this tarp to get picked up and blown away. So I've gotta hustle and get some rock bags on it before I go in. So thank you for joining me for This Week in the Garden, week 6. Gosh, I hope it's week 6 and not week 5. Anyway, and I will see you in the garden next week. Thanks, bye.